What is going to happen after this week's federal interest rate decision? Are we going to continue to the all-time highs, or are we going to be revisiting lows again? Stay tuned and find out in this weekly analysis. Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Dan and as always I'm bringing the best weekly analysis for crypto, stock market, everything related to financial markets. Now, I didn't do the analysis last week because I was not able to do it. I was sick, and as you can hear, I'm still sick, so pardon me for that, okay? But I will do my best in order to bring you the information closer to you, to explain to you what was happening, what will be happening, and how you can benefit from the movements in the market in this week. Now, this week is going to be quite important, so you have to follow everything through, and you have to pay attention, of course, to the biggest news that are going to happen, which is the Fed interest rate decision. Now, without further ado, let's head to the PC and show you immediately NASDAQ 100 technicals, followed by Bitcoin technicals. So, as you can see right over here, I have a weekly chart for NASDAQ 100, okay? And this does not look great. Last week actually did look good with this huge wick and this big engulfing candle. However, this week we just literally did the opposite. We made a big wick but on the upside, which is not good, and we've ended up week in red. So I just wanted to show you this bigger picture that we're kind of maybe creating somehow a double top right over here. As you can see, the indicators are not telling us absolutely anything. But I'm gonna go now to the current contract, which is this, which is the NQZ futures contract for December for NASDAQ. And just so I can explain you a little bit better right over here. So I will open a daily chart right over here, and as you can see on the indicators, do we have anything? No, not really. So the indicators are still converging. They are not showing any signs of divergences anywhere over here that I can see. Now, if we zoom in on and we're still above the EMA 200, which means that we're still in a bullish trend, okay? Now, if you go on 4-hour chart, what I will do here is I will actually reveal my drawings, right? As always. So I just reduced my drawings to minimum. I'm trying to keep them as minimum as possible because it gives me a clearer picture, and I always update them now from the right hand side all the way to the left, because some levels that I use or pivot points, sometimes they're not really relevant, they don't react, so I decided just to minimize the drawings and make it a little bit nicer and clearer for me to see. Okay, anyways, on the 4-hour chart, we are now below EMA 200, okay guys? Which means what? Which means that we turning slowly bearish. So on a daily chart, we are above EMA 200, which we're still bullish, but on a 4-hour chart means something is changing, okay? Things are cooking up. We are at this very important pivot level at 15,350-60, okay? And we bounced off of it, as you can see, exactly, right? We touched it and boom, bounced back. Now, if we want to see a reversal, which I do believe is going to happen in the next week prior to the interest rate decision, we will have to do something like this. Let me just, boom, retest the EMA, come back maybe down and then break it and then continue all the way up. Let me just put it in blue as always. So this is option number 1 for long, okay? Now, I really do believe that we're going to see some kind of a pullback, but if we're going to be bearish, if the interest rate decision is bad, then we're going to see something like pullback to EMA and this supply and demand zone, okay? Just to go false break and continue all the way down, okay? So these are the two options that I will be looking to trade this week. So guys, remember, zone 15,360 or so, so somewhere over here I will be going long, all right, just after the market opens, and I will be looking at this area over here. What is going to happen at the touch of EMA 200 and at the touch of this supply and demand zone, okay? I want to see the reaction there. Are we going to break it with force? So if we do something like this, break it with force, just let me fix it a little bit. Let's say if we do something like this, break it with force, come back, retest it, continue all the way up, probably that will synchronize together with the interest rate decision. That means that the bullish trend continues. But if we come here and have a false break and the interest rate decision is bad, then we're gonna just boom, go all the way down, and most probably we're gonna be revisit somewhere liquidity over here in this area, maybe even. I believe that we can go down back to 15K or something. If the decision is bad, we're gonna go down hard. So I will not, okay, let's go on the 1 hour chart just to see if there's anything happening. Now the indicators on the 1 hour chart, what do they tell us? Let me see. It is a convergence. It is still convergence. This should be a hidden bullish divergence, but it's still converging right over here. Anyways, not to confuse you, the game plan, as I told you, remains play all around the EMA 200. Are we going to go back above it and keep the bullish momentum, or we're just going to go false break and go all the way down? So that would be my game plan for Nasdaq 100. Now let me go on to Bitcoin weekly chart, just to see we're also above EMA 200 right over here, as you can see. Okay, so this is good for Bitcoin. And what did I tell you? Let me just go on the daily chart and let me do one more thing. Of course, the magical drawings. Boom, a lot of lines, right? Okay, I told you as long as we hold the 25K area, we're going to be good. Now, we're holding the 25K area, and we are now looking good at Bitcoin for now. But we on daily chart still are below EMA 200. So we are not out of the muddy waters yet, okay guys? We need to break EMA 200, retest it, and then continue higher in order for us to turn bullish, okay? So this is what we need to have a look at. At the moment, we're just ranging. This is actually a good opportunity. If it comes back down, you can again maybe try buy it somewhere over here and then sell it if we pump back up. However, note one thing. I told you so many times. If the level, okay, let me just get this different style. If the level gets retested too many times, it gets weaker. All right, guys. So if you come back and retest this level of 25K for too many times, I definitely believe we're going to break it. And I definitely believe that we're gonna go lower in that case scenario to around $20,000, okay, per one Bitcoin. So as long as we stay above 25K, you can actually trade this range over here, okay? You can actually trade this range over here. But if we retest it too many times without a bigger impulse, we're definitely going to break it and then end up somewhere at around $20,000 area. Now, I'm gonna be going over later on some fundamental things that can actually support this case scenario. But as things are at the moment, you can actually even short Bitcoin now. For day traders, of course. I wouldn't suggest it, but you can actually short it because you see over here we have these big wicks, right? And if we break down, then we're just gonna go back to the 25K area to retest it, okay? So, and then you can sell, you can close the position, short position right over here, and then buy it back somewhere at the 25K range. So you can literally make some really decent day trades in this range where Bitcoin is. But as a bottom line, as a recap, we're still not bullish because yes, we are above 25K, but we are below the EMA 200 and we're actually just struggling without any good news to break these previous highs. Because in order for us to be bullish, we need to break these previous highs at around 20K and go back to the 30K area, all right, somewhere over here. We need to go back here, and then, only then, with some good news and support of good news, we would be turning bullish. But for day traders, this is a good range to trade on. Now, let's move on to some news. Of course, actually, we're gonna start with economic calendar as always. Monday does not bring us anything big, all right, on the economic calendar. Tuesday, we have building permits, housing starts, so nothing major basically on Tuesday either. On Wednesday, the most important decision comes, all right, guys? Let me just try to remove this beautiful lady right over here. Nothing. Okay, pull and bear. Here you go. Wednesday, we are going to have FOMC interest rate decision, all right? Now, everybody's expecting a pause from the Fed. Now, this would be a hawkish pause, as I'm gonna read some news later on. And if the pause happens, I really do believe that the market will take it as bullish. Why? Because probably the market will say, if they paused it now, they will not even increase the interest rates anymore, definitely until the end of the years. Because, of course, as you remember, Fed said that they will increase at least one more time before the year ends, the interest rate decision. So if they pause it now, the market will already be like, Fed is bluffing, we don't believe them as always, and they will not increase any more interest rates, and the pivot will happen soon. This is how I think the market will read the Fed pause, okay? And this could be very bullish for both Bitcoin, of course, and stock market, all right? Now, if, God forbid, they increase one more rate hike by 25 basis points, man, that's gonna be a disaster, right? So you have to be prepared. That is going to be a huge disaster. Now, there's always a third option. Fed pauses and even makes maybe some kind of a bullish statement or whatever, but market still dumps. Why? I have no idea. In that case scenario, the interpretation could be different, that, you know, lagging effects will be felt only couple of quarters later, blah, blah, blah. Like, the most important part that I want to tell you, not to confuse you. If they decide to hike the interest rates, we're gonna go down. We're gonna be very, very, very bearish, okay? If they decide to hold, I would just suggest you not to trade anything. Just wait and see how the price reaction will be. Where the market makers want to push the price, to the upside or to the downside. Because trust me, at that day, I would even avoid trading at Wednesday, because they will be manipulating up and down. They will be trapping buyers and sellers, and they will be liquidating in ones and the other ones. The price will be going up and down. It's going to be a crazy show, okay? So I would completely avoid Wednesday and come back on Thursday to trade once everything settles down. Unless the news are pretty obvious and the price action is pretty obvious, then yeah, you can go with the trend. Now on Thursday, of course, as always, initial jobless claims, Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index, existing home sales, and Friday nothing. Basically, the most important thing is, of course, FOMC and the interest rate decision, okay? That will be it. And then just to read you, Fed meeting preview, some news. Powell prepares to deliver a hawkish pause next week. After raising rates in July, Federal Reserve is all but certain to skip tightening at its policy meeting next week. Fed Chair Powell will likely hint that a rate hike in November is very much a possibility, and amid the recent uptick in inflation. Okay, now the upcoming week will play a pivotal role in shaping Federal Reserve's outlook, and as we can see, last Wednesday we had CPI and core CPI. Where was it? Let me just have a look. Okay, here it is. So we had CPI and core CPI, and as you can see, as expected, because as I've told you in the previous videos, oil prices went up, and with oil inflation and energy prices risen up, inflation also ticked higher. So you had core CPI a little bit higher than expected, and then month on month, and then you had CPI also higher to 3.7 than expected at the forecast. Okay, so basically the inflation did tick up due to the energy prices. All right, now we have the FOMC futures projection is, where does it say here somewhere, currently pricing 98% chance Fed holding interest rates at current levels. And then again, there is these projections for next meetings, how much people in percentages expect if they will keep or cut the rate hikes, etc. So these are the rate hikes, these are the percentages and the expectations for the next meeting for December. Okay, now we're gonna see. First, let's take it step by step, one by one. So as I already told you, listen carefully for the guidance. So not only the decision itself. Yes, it will be important this time as well, because if they hike the rate, it's gonna be just a mess, okay? But as always, listen to Powell, and is he going to be bearish or bullish? If he says, yes, we are hiking the rates now, but we expect to pivot before the end of the year, then market will probably take it as a bullish sign. But if he says, no, we're pausing, but the most certainly or definitely or 100%, we will be increasing rate hikes one more time before the year ends, then probably the market will take it as a bearish sign, okay? Now let's move on to some crypto news, and top stories for these weeks are, then this is the funniest story ever. Paxos confirms it is responsible for paying a $500,000 Bitcoin transaction fee. The miner who received 20 BTC in fees from blockchain infrastructure firm Paxos has returned the funds following Paxos claims that it made a mistake in paying over $500,000 in transfer fees. So on September 10, they paid six-figure fee to move $2,000. So with the average network fee typically being around $2. The company later acknowledged the mistake, confirming the transfer came from its servers. Almost a day after Paxos claims, the Bitcoin miner who received the funds went on X, formerly Twitter, to express frustrations after agreeing to refund the amount to Paxos. So basically, these morons, they somehow paid $500,000 to transfer $2,000, and the guy eventually returned it to them. He made a poll on X or Twitter. He made a poll asking people, what do you want me to do? Because he had no obligations to return it to them. He was like, okay, should I just distribute it to other miners? Should I keep it for myself? Should I return it to Paxos? And he returned it eventually, but he was frustrated after agreeing to refund them. Paxos basically now is kind of in trouble for all the things that is going on in the background with the stable coins, with issues. If you recall, they're the backer and the owner of the BUSD, Binance coin, which will cease to be produced or whatever minted. So let's move on. Court approved sale of FTX digital assets. Bankruptcy court has approved the sale of FTX digital assets, and this caused panic in the markets, of course. In weekly batches through an investment, but the sale does not include Bitcoin, Ether, and certain insider affiliated tokens. Okay, now everybody, Solana was dumping hard because they have a total of 3.4 billion is held in digital assets A. They have 833 million worth of Bitcoin and Ether, all right, and then top 10 assets include Solana, Bitcoin, Ether, Aptos, and others, right? Everybody was just scared that this is gonna happen, that this is going to cause a big dump in the markets, and it did, but then later people just realized it's going to be mostly done OTC, meaning one entity to another is going to be sold to another exchanges, just the market will absorb it, okay? It's not gonna be a big deal. Now, I have a same question with, is MTGOX repayment, which is getting closer, is it going to be absorbed the same way Solana and all these dump of the FTX digital assets? Is it going to be absorbed the same way? And also the Silk Road. Don't forget, I'm always reminding you on these things because you need to know that when the FUD news start, they go together, all right, all at once. So MTGOX repayment, Silk Road BTC, and now the FTX digital assets. If those three things combine together, I'm really wondering, will the market dump even further, okay? Which is very, very likely and possible. Gemini Earn users could recover all funds in new DCG remuneration scheme. Franklin Templeton files for spot Bitcoin ETF. Of course, everybody's now filing for the Bitcoin ETFs. They have 1.5 trillion in asset under management. Now, two more top executives depart Binance US amid layoffs, SEC action. Binance is under scrutiny, Binance is under attack. They are really, really struggling. But if they survive all of this, I think they're gonna be the real winner, and they're gonna be the best exchange ever existed, okay? If they survive all of this. Now, that'll be all for this week. So I would like to finish off with, be careful. Don't trade before the news. Wait for the news. Let them say what they have to say. Listen to Chair Powell, what he will say. Listen to the guidance. And only then decide what are you going to do in the markets. Are you going to go long? Are you going to go short? Or whatever. But always follow the trend. Don't fight it and make some money. I'll see you in the next week. And until then, peace.